My name is Serenity, and I need to tell you my story. This is not a happy story. At least, not in the beginning. It is a story of a love so deep it was my entire world, and a betrayal so profound it shattered my soul. I had a simple life, a beautiful life. I lived in a small, sun-drenched house with the man who held my heart. His name was Lucas. I loved him more than the air I breathed. He had a smile that could calm any storm, eyes so warm they felt like coming home. When he laughed, I felt the universe align. We met as young dreamers, and he told me I was beautiful. He was the first to ever see me that way. We built a life, brick by brick, memory by memory. Our wedding was a tapestry of pure joy, woven with the threads of family and whispered promises. I believed with every fiber of my being that our forever had truly begun. I had a sister, Valentina. She was not just my sibling, she was the keeper of my secrets, the echo of my laughter. We grew up as two halves of a single heartbeat, sharing rooms, sharing dreams, sharing a bond I thought was unbreakable. When I was adrift, she was my anchor. When she trembled, I was her shelter. We swore we would always be there for each other. Always. And I believed it, with all my soul. After Lucas and I married, Valentina came to our city. My happiness was complete. My universe contained within two people, my husband and my sister. My whole world under one sky. Valentina was lonely in this new place, so she came to our house often. I cherished it. The three of us became a tiny constellation, orbiting each other in a perfect, happy dance. We shared meals, shared stories, shared a life I thought was blessed. Lucas helped her. He fixed her car. He offered advice. I saw only kindness, only the goodness of the man I loved, extending to the girl I adored. I thought he was being a brother. I thought they were just friends. Their closeness made my heart swell with gratitude. But then, the light began to change. It was a slow, creeping shadow, so subtle I told myself I was imagining things. Valentina began to visit when I was not home. She brought him lunch at his office. Lucas spoke her name more and more, his voice tinged with a new brightness. "Valentina is so clever," he would say. "Valentina is so funny." I would smile, but inside, a cold, tiny seed of dread took root. I buried it deep. I called myself a fool. He loved me. She was my sister. This was family. This was normal. Then came my birthday. Lucas gifted me a delicate silver necklace with a tiny, perfect heart. I wore it every single day, a gleaming token of his love resting against my skin. A week later, Valentina came for dinner. Around her neck hung a new silver chain. It too bore a heart, but hers was larger, adorned with a cold, sparkling diamond. It was breathtaking, and it stole the breath from my lungs. "That's a beautiful necklace, Valentina," I said, my voice a fragile thread. "Oh, this?" she said, her fingers brushing the jewel. "I saw it and just had to have it. We've always had the same taste, Serenity." She smiled, a radiant, blinding smile. And
Lucas.
Lucas looked at her and smiled the same way. In that moment, my small heart necklace felt like a worthless trinket. I chided my jealousy, called it ugly and unworthy. I vowed to be better. Then, Lucas began working late. A big project, he said, his eyes heavy with fabricated fatigue. Some nights he would collapse on the sofa, and I would cover him with a blanket, my heart aching for his exhaustion. He was building a future. For us. One midnight, he still wasn't home. Worry gnawed at me. I called his office. A sleepy stranger answered. "No, ma'am, everyone left hours ago. The office is empty." The receiver slipped in my sweating hand. The world tilted on its axis. An hour later, he walked in, shrouded in the scent of night and flowers. A familiar perfume, sweet and expensive. Valentina's perfume. "You smell like flowers," I breathed, the accusation a ghost in the air. "My boss is a woman," he snapped, too quickly. "She wears perfume." He vanished into our bedroom, leaving me alone in the silent, suffocating living room. The silence was a living thing, feeding on my doubt. I spent a week at war with myself. I was crafting nightmares, I decided. I would trust. I would love harder. I met Valentina for coffee, desperate for the sister I knew. "You and Lucas spend so much time together," I ventured, masking my fear in a light tone. She wouldn't meet my gaze. "He's like a brother," she said, her words smooth as polished stone. "Sometimes I feel a little left out." The confession tore from me, raw and pathetic. Valentina laughed, a bright, ringing sound that felt like shards of glass. "Oh, Serenity, don't be silly," she chimed. "You're his wife." She reached for my hand, her touch warm, her eyes wide with practiced sincerity. "We both love you so much." I looked at her, and I believed her. I chose to believe her. The relief was a drug, sweet and numbing. Our wedding anniversary approached. 5 years. I planned a secret escape, a secluded cabin by a mountain lake just for us. I dreamed of his hand in mine, of whispers over water, of rediscovering us. "I have a surprise," I told him, my eyes shining with hope. He looked up from his phone, his face a blank page. When I revealed the trip, his expression didn't light up. It froze. "Oh, honey, I can't go. The project, the deadline. I have to work all weekend." The floor fell away beneath me. Our anniversary, spent alone. He hugged me, an empty shell of an embrace. I canceled the cabin and the dream it held. The next day, a friend called, her voice tight with dread. "Serenity, I'm in that little mountain town. I just saw Lucas. He's with a woman. They're holding hands." The blood drained from my body, leaving me cold and hollow. "What did she look like?" I begged, already knowing the answer. The silence on the line was a verdict. "Serenity. I think it was Valentina." The phone clattered to the floor. The sound was the shattering of my entire life. My sister. And my husband. In the town beside the cabin I had chosen for us. The lie was no longer a shadow. it was a sunless, crushing reality. I don't remember driving home. The house was a museum of lies. Every photograph, every cushion, a monument to my blindness. I fled to my parents, a weeping ghost in their quiet home. For 2 days, I let the world fade to gray. But you cannot outrun the truth. I had to return. I had to face the wreckage. When I walked in, Lucas was waiting, a portrait of manufactured grief. He reached for me. "Don't touch me," I said, my voice a blade of ice. "I know, Lucas. I know about you and Valentina." His face went ashen. "My friend saw you, holding her hand in the mountains. Was that your project?" He crumbled. "It's not what you think. You lied to me," I screamed, the sound tearing from a place of pure agony. "You canceled our life for her." "I love you," he whispered. And those 3 words became the cruelest joke I had ever heard. "No." I shook my head, the movement final. You don't lie to someone you love. You don't destroy them. How long? The question hung in the air, poisonous. He stared at the floor, a coward in his confession. "A few months," he breathed. Those words made all the little horrors make sense. The late nights, the perfume, the necklace, they were chapters in a story of my betrayal. "Get out," I said, the command quiet, absolute. "Take your things and get out of my house." He wept. He pleaded. He called it a mistake. "This was not a mistake," I roared, my soul on fire. "It was a choice. You chose her. Now go to her." He saw the finality in my eyes, and he left. The click of the door was the sound of my old life ending. Valentina came the next day, a weeping, beautiful tragedy. "Why?" was the only word my broken heart could form. "You were my sister, my best friend." She spilled tears and excuses. "It just happened. I was lonely. He was kind." "You could have stopped," I cried. "You could have thought of me." "Please forgive me," she sobbed. I looked at this stranger, wearing my sister's face. "You already lost me," I said, my voice empty of everything but truth. "The day you chose my husband was the day you lost your sister." I closed the door on her and on the girl I used to be. The weeks that followed were a long, dark night of the soul. I was a phantom in my own home, haunted by echoes of laughter that now sounded like mockery. I boxed up the photographs. I buried the evidence of my naivety in the attic. I moved through the world, numb and silent. But life has a stubborn pulse. My friend Kate, she was a lighthouse in that endless night. She brought food. She brought silence. She simply brought herself. And slowly, so slowly I barely felt it, a tiny, fragile light began to glow within me. One morning, I opened a window, and for the first time, I did not cry at the sunlight. It was a victory, small and seismic. I began to walk, long, aimless walks where I learned the language of birds again. I painted my walls a defiant, brilliant yellow, a color that shouted at the gloom. I bought new curtains. I rearranged the furniture. This would be my space, a sanctuary for one. In the quiet, I found a terrifying strength. I learned I could be alone, and that being alone was not the same as being lonely. I learned to listen to that small, cold feeling inside, the one I had silenced for love. It was my compass, and I would never ignore it again. Time passed, a year of seasons turning. The grief, it softened from a sharp stone in my chest to a dull, familiar ache. I still had sad days, but they no longer defined me. One bright morning, I bought sunflowers, 6 golden faces, brave and seeking the light. I placed them in a blue vase on my kitchen table, and they transformed the room. They were a promise to myself. Kate visited and saw the change in my eyes. "You look lighter," she said. "I feel lighter," I confessed, "like I've taken off a heavy coat I didn't know I was wearing." An old friend rediscovered me and invited me to an art class. With trembling hands, I went, and I picked up a pencil for the first time in a decade. I drew my sunflowers, and on that blank page, I began to redraw myself. It became my ritual, my prayer. Then, one cool evening, I saw them, Lucas and Valentina, walking toward me under the bruised purple sky. My heart stuttered, a reflex of old pain, but my feet, they kept walking. We stopped, 3 statues of a forgotten past. "Hello, Serenity," Lucas said, his voice a ghost. "Hello," I replied, and my voice was steady, calm, free. They asked how I was, and for the first time the answer was pure, unadulterated truth. "I am good." I walked past them, and I did not look back. At home, I waited for the storm of feeling, but only a deep, profound peace washed over me. They were my history, but they were not my home. Not anymore. My home was here, in these yellow walls, with my sunflowers and my sketches. My home was me. I began to write, to pour my story onto paper, not as a wound, but as a map of survival. I sat in the park and watched a little girl drop her ice cream, and then receive a new, different, wonderful one. She smiled, forgetting the first, and I understood. Sometimes life takes what you love. It breaks your heart wide open. The pain is real, it is vast, it is aloud. But inside you is a resilience as ancient as the sun. You will get up. You will paint a wall yellow. You will buy a flower. You will take a class. You will learn to trust the sound of your own voice again. Piece by piece, breath by breath, you will rebuild. You will find that the person you become is stronger, braver, and more truly you than the person you were before. The scar will remain, but it will be a testament, not a prison. You will grow towards the light, just like the sunflower. Just like me.